Today I'm going to tell you about the 5 key elements that it takes in order to have a fully functioning blockchain. Now, these 5 key elements are essential for any business to get the full benefit from a blockchain implementation. So when talking about the 5 key elements that need to exist in a blockchain, we basically start with distribution. Then we need encryption. After that, we need immutability. And then tokenization. And then decentralization. But at this point, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So let's start with distribution. Because what distribution basically means is that all participants that are on the network are physically removed from each other, meaning literally they are in different buildings, different countries, different counties. They're in different separate locations. In other words, they're distributed. So another thing that happens at that point is that each participant on that network then operates a full node, meaning they have a complete copy of the ledger, and that's where we get the term distributed ledger. And later on, you'll find out that distribution also plays a part in making sure the network is secure. The next thing is encryption. Each node and piece of data that's in the blockchain is encrypted so that it can't be tampered with. So every transaction, once it goes in, is put in the chain, and then it's encrypted. Each participant then has their own key to control their identity and other information. And that information then is only shared with the people that need to have access. So if you have 2 different businesses that normally in the marketplace might be competitors, but they're using the same blockchain, they would have their key to their data, and they would only be able to see their data. But they have the ability to be secure because they know the data is fully distributed. The next is immutability. Now, what does that mean? Completed transactions are cryptographically signed, time-stamped, and sequentially added to the ledger. Each block then refers to its prior block, and all of that data is then encrypted. Once it has the address of the prior block and all the data in there, it gets encrypted as a block, and then the next block is assembled. That next block repeats the process. After a while, they get continually added to the point where those records can't be corrupted or changed without the consensus mechanism rejecting the change or the corruption. In other words, it will go to a node that's not been corrupted and replant the data back into the primary node, because none of those transactions or changes have been accepted by the network itself. So the more nodes that you have out there, the more it becomes immutable and unchangeable. The next thing is tokenization. Now, tokens allow exchange of value, and I'm sure you're familiar with Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, you exchange value with Bitcoin. It's probably the closest we have to actually having a currency that can be exchanged between persons for goods or services. The extension here in blockchains that are meant for businesses, they can act as a reward system to incentivize the network participants. Now, what that means is that if you have a private network that services, let's say, the food industry, and it is a supply chain product that helps you know where your food came from growing in the field to the marketplace. And there are multiple participants either along the way and within the food trust itself. Those participants are incentivized to continue running the consensus methods, helping with the programming, helping with the maintenance, helping with the storage costs, because hardware costs money. It costs money to go ahead and run a network of any sort. Any database requires some network hardware that, of course, costs money. So the reward system within the network itself are the tokens, and that keeps everybody paid and incentivized based on the agreement when the blockchain was first put in place. Tokens also allow private or corporate participants to control their data. Like we said, The tokens will allow us to share the data we want to share and not share the data that is not to be shared. Then the next is decentralization. Now, decentralization means that both the ledgers, like we talked about with distribution, but now the rules for the network and how it operates are all on a distributed network. Now, what that means is all the coding, all the reasons how the network works is distributed to several different nodes. Now, the more the nodes, the more secure the network is. In fact, each node verifies and approves the transactions that are put on the next block, and the better decentralized it is, it acts as a fail-safe against fraud. So decentralization becomes a key component. There are a lot of blockchain networks, especially the early ones, that were centralized within one company, and they wanted everybody that contributed, let's say it's a supply chain, to contribute to this blockchain, but they held all the data. Those are considered what they call Trojan horses, because one entity holds all the data, and if they have somebody join it that's, so let's say, a competitor, that makes the competitor real nervous because their data is being held in one place and they can't double check to make sure it's not being tampered with. So decentralization helps with that fail-safe method to ensure against fraud. It also is the thing that allows multiple companies in the same industry to participate in the same blockchain without having to be concerned about data being transferred between the entities, which would definitely be a concern. So here's the 5: distribution, encryption, immutability, tokenization, and decentralization. To be a blockchain complete solution, it has to have all 5 of these. Missing any one of these is like having a 3-legged stool with one leg missing. It just can't stand. So if you liked what you saw here in the video, hit the like button for me. Get this video out to more people, and please subscribe. Thank you.